Hey everybody, what's up? We are here with a timeless reading. Alright, first card that we have out is Three of Pentacles. I'm also seeing Ace of Pentacles. So this can be a new situation that you're finding yourself in. It looks like something that you're currently involved in that may definitely involve other people or another person. As you're moving through this, to have the Hanged Man here, it can mean that it's like making you question things where now that you're working with this person or these people, maybe you like had certain beliefs or you had certain thoughts or ideas about how things worked. Hanged Man here can be like there's sort of a spiritual evolution that's happening, and there can be like a lot of learning and a lot of growing and a lot of like, oh, that's what you think, like expanding points of views, or like I never saw it like that. So it seems like as sort of the collaborating is happening, I'm seeing it just be like this bigger and bigger and bigger understanding that's being gained. And so that may be something that you're sort of like figuring out and working with as you're a part of this. So it looks like this current, I'm hearing exploration that you're part of. A big piece of this is that there's some, oh goodness, there's some really important like expanding that's happening. And it's something that's impacting you on, a spiritual level. So this isn't just like in a worldly sense you being impacted. This is like also too like having Neptune here. It can be like empathy that you're gaining. Important things like that. And that means too that it's taking you out of this like self-centered point of view that naturally we're in, right? Like as children, we spend so much time but like developing our own points of view and us being an individual and like developing those parts of our personality. Now you're at this point where it's sort of recognizing that like your perspective isn't the only one that's valid. So it feels like growing in that way where you're like learning from other people and learning that there are other perspectives. It's like you always watched your movie from this angle, and it's like this person has been watching the same movie too, but from a different angle. And so now there's something where, because you're being like cooperative and open, where you're now opening yourself up to their angles as well. So it can be like that sort of thing that's happening here. And with Neptune, there can be like a sense of compassion or like trying to be more like loving, things like that are connected with the Hanged Man. And you doing things in that way, which may not be like the usual way for you to do things. I'm seeing Eight of Cups. I'm also seeing Ten of Wands. I'm going to get a clarifier for this Eight of Cups. So, from what I'm seeing, it seems like this collaboration that you're in, like what this is doing for you is that it's giving you insight that's connected with, like in the past when you were in situations, there may have been times um, where you could have like prematurely even walked away or been like, I don't want to work through that. It's like this type of thing, which like there's nothing wrong with that when it's coming from a genuine space, or like even if it's not, there's nothing wrong with it. However, you may have found that by you like refusing to like work through certain things, even when it's about you sticking through the things that feel important to you. Because I'm seeing that there could have been times where you prematurely left situations rather than work through it and been like, Eight of Cups can be an energy of like the grass is greener on the other side. Like, I don't want to spend time like seeing things from your perspective or working out. So you could have realized that like before this sort of scenario gave you these understandings and new perspectives that you're gaining, there could have been times when you prematurely walked away from situations which created stress because it seems like constantly being like, this isn't working, this isn't working, this isn't working, and like leaving all the time. It just was creating more and more stress for you rather than like dealing with things or facing things. And it seems to like I'm seeing something about like future, about progress emotionally that you're making. It also seems like this has to do with stuff within like relationships for you, or even like a particular relationship for you. I'm also seeing Five of Swords on the bottom of the deck over here. So the work that you're doing right now, you may find some of it to be a bit triggering at times. I'm seeing stuff about opportunities in the future. I'm also seeing you feeling more connected with yourself as well. And it seems to like following your intuition in a way where it's aligned how you're taking action within your important relationships. Hold on, I want to clarify one more thing. Some of you, this was like a response. Some of you, this like walking away from situations, it was a response to pain or even wanting to avoid pain. But what I'm seeing is that like it got heavier and heavier, and you may have felt like the more you were trying to do this, it started like building and building and building before something even became unbearable. And I'm also seeing stuff that's connected with like future things too. So you could have also like walked away when things felt stressful and maybe thought that that was going to be a solution, but then you could have found that it weighed more and more heavily on you by actually doing the thing that you may have thought was going to be the answer, the right move for you. But now I'm seeing there be this notion of you like getting more in touch with yourself rather than like creating more complications. It really seems like you're simplifying things, and it looks too like you're making progress working through stuff that's connected with the past for you. It's like past feelings and experiences, and events that were connected with yeah, feelings and emotions, and you analyzing and working through these things. You could have also felt too that like when you walked away from situations that you like caught on to the fact that it created more stress in your life, but you could have had a difficult time tackling those patterns as well. So it seems like this thing that you're currently working in, this collaboration, it's like giving you an awareness that it seems like you may have been like looking for before, but until you sort of had this mix of energies, it may have just been something that like wasn't ready to surface, or it needed like some sort of like conduit, and it happens to be like you working with this person or you working with these people. Like this is the thing that's helping you to realize. So I'm seeing just like a lot of major stuff here that's popping up for you as far as awareness and progress that you're making. Because when it comes to Neptune as well, having that be the only major arcana that we're seeing here, this can also be about like being more realistic with stuff, because Neptune can be connected with like our fantasies of things, and when like the fantasy isn't going how we wanted it to, like dipping out, you know, and leaving situations and then having that create more issues. And so this feels like being more realistic with stuff. So it feels like this is also giving you more perspective to this collaboration, to understand like how things work and how to be like more realistic and understanding. And again, like compassion feels like it's something that's been coming up too. Also like sticking through things, like working through things. And communicating about feelings. But you may have walked away because you didn't want to communicate about feelings in the past. But I'm seeing you making a lot of progress with this. You're doing a really good job. I'm seeing so much being accomplished here. Like, this is definitely noteworthy. But yeah, that I'm seeing too, like you're realizing as well, like you walked away from situations, again, with this, like grass is going to be greener on the other side, because it stressed you out to talk about your feelings. But now I'm seeing like with the collaboration that you're in, like this stuff that you're working through right now, you are talking about your feelings, and there's like a lot more understanding that's happening too, because I'm seeing as well before, you may have like misinterpreted your feelings and your intuition and thought it was telling you to leave, when that's not what it was communicating with you. And there are realizations that you're making now where you're like learning how to properly decode and understand the messages of your intuition and of your emotions, and it's happening through some sort of like communication or speech that's happening, because I'm seeing a lot of progress that's being made. Because I'm seeing too, like there was this repeated pattern that kept playing out, and it's like until you were willing to actually voice certain things, which for some reason, like this collaboration that you're in, it's a space where you're willing to do that. I'm seeing just so much being gained, and so much being understood, and so much like insight that you're coming into here, that you like weren't accessing before because of just stepping away and stepping away and stepping away. It's like not letting it get to the part where you were working something out, but now I'm seeing you are getting to the part where you're working something out, and it seems to really be working for you now. Because I think you're also like gaining more confidence too, because I'm seeing that like your energy coming out as the King of Swords, this means that you're a very, very fantastic communicator, and that you're very much able to articulate things, but for some reason in the past it was like something that you weren't really willing to do. But I'm seeing now that you're willing to do it. It seems like it's really doing something for you now. And it's changing like your relationship to your emotions as well, and understanding them too. But I'm getting that this hasn't been an easy thing for you. I'm seeing strength on the bottom of the deck. I'm hearing the word discipline. There's more of an intention now. That may not have really been the case necessarily before. It also seems like there's more being like deliberate with what you're saying and recognizing also like the power behind what you're communicating too. And about your thoughts as well. And something about feelings bubbling over. Maybe before too, you didn't care to the same degree whether or not certain things stuck. To have you coming out connected with the energy of the magician, this is you wanting to manifest things from an emotionally connected space and wanting there to be a sense of congruence within your life. And that may have been something that wasn't happening before. So I'm seeing that also be something that you're working on too. Yeah. There's something here that you're figuring out. It's like you're figuring out the recipe in order to make something that you want to make, like in order to manifest something that you want to manifest is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing it though be like something tricky about figuring this out. It seems to like it's about prioritizing like what's being created and like put together rather than tearing things apart. So there's stuff about like prioritizing like building things that you want to build, or yeah, just this feeling of like putting things together, or like making things or like creating things, but it's about like union of stuff rather than the pulling apart of things, and focusing on like that aspect, like building up rather than breaking down. I get the feeling too that you could have felt before that you were always sort of like left searching or left seeking until you came into this place recognizing that you were gonna have to like make the thing that you were seeking rather than just like happening upon it magically. But as you're sort of like new to figuring out this type of recipe, I'm definitely seeing things feel like a bit challenging right now. But that also means that it's really important to be organized, to do things with a sense of balance, to not take on too much, and to also prioritize and break things down in that way. What I'm seeing too is that something could have like been impacting your self-confidence and self-esteem, because it looks as well like there are certain things that are being communicated about which may be like heavier topics, but it's something that it seems like you're willing to address these things now, but it can also be stuff that in the past you had shame around and that you didn't want to address these things. But having the Hanged Man here shows that it's like not all is as it seems as well. So even though there could have been these things where it was like, I don't want to bring it up for this reason because of like these feelings that it brings up for me, it's like now that it's being talked about, there are like other understandings that you're having about those things too, and it's connecting you more and more with your feelings. So it's not even just staying like that, it's about bringing stuff up to like understand it better, more thoroughly, and to also integrate these things and see too that there's like a reframing that's happening as well. But it could have been stuff where because you were avoiding bringing it up, it wasn't even giving it the opportunity to be reframed. But now that you're willing to do that, that's also occurring too. And it's having you feel like more in touch with your feelings as well, because you feel like you're understanding them more. So it seems like stuff that you're seeing differently now. Yeah. Yes. There was a lack of vulnerability before. And I'm seeing too, like there was this part of you that that may have been having a hard time admitting to how you were feeling at times, and also this part of you that didn't want to experience like sadness and certain like difficult, challenging feelings. And when you felt certain things start coming up and feeling like triggered, because there's this, I'm seeing certain things would come up for you and you would start feeling vulnerable because of the feelings, and that feeling triggering because in the past having these experiences that you did not like. So it was almost like you associated experiencing like certain feelings and emotions with like a lot of negative stuff that hadn't been integrated. And so you immediately would like shut down, like your ego would come up, like defenses and stuff, and then you'd like run away from situations and be like, I'm not doing this. But it was like out of a defense. It wasn't because you really weren't going to be satisfied within the situations. It was because like your ego was telling you that to give you like an escape route because you were feeling triggered. So you were just leaving because you were feeling triggered. That's what was happening. But it was just like a protective thing. But now that all of this is being broken down, there's like the reframing of stuff that's happening, and you're like understanding to your emotions. But it could have been like situations that like when these things would happen, you would check out in some way and be like, I'm gonna start like doing this thing over here instead. It's like as soon as things like weren't easy or weren't fun or weren't enjoyable necessarily, like getting to that point of being like, I don't want to feel like this, and so like I'm leaving, that type of thing, rather than like working through stuff. So now we have Temperance here, which is our willingness to sort of like sit with this and work all of it through and to transmute the energy rather than immediately like turning away or shutting down. Because I'm seeing too, like you're currently moving through some stuff that may be bringing up like heavy like regrets or sadness or grieving for you. And I'm definitely seeing the ego be like having those feelings that are coming up. But I'm also seeing Temperance here too, which shows you like patiently working through this. So you can be like, yeah, I am feeling triggered right now. Like, yeah, this is really difficult stuff for me. But Temperance shows you consistently like working with this and grounding and being patient with yourself too. Like rather than being reactive, Temperance is about like taking the time to transmute the energy. And that's what you're currently working on. I'm seeing you've come a long, long, long way. Having Temperance and having Eight of Pentacles it shows you really sticking with things. And it also shows too that like your willingness to see things through and sort of like the threshold is vastly expanding. And it means like working on things and being like patient as well. And like being determined to work through things no matter what pops up, because temperance will be like, it doesn't matter what's coming through, if I can learn how to temper it and I'm willing to do that, like I can figure out any of this. And so it's like really taking on that mentality with this, which feels very, very different than the mentality in the past. Before it was like, something's coming up that I don't like, my ego is now triggered, and so I'm walking away from this because I don't want to deal with it. And now it's like, because of you working within this collaboration and it giving you like more of a sense of perspective, it's assisting you in navigating through these types of situations. And I'm seeing temperance and Eight of Pentacles, so this shows you really being down to like work through all of this, and so much progress. And like the Ace of Cups is what you get because of it, so that means that there's going to be a sense of connection that you weren't really getting before, that now you'll be able to access because you're willing to move through this and like connect with yourself ultimately, which then allows you to connect with others too. Seems too like you're like learning from pain in the past as well, like past events that have happened. So this is all like investing in a new chapter as well. There's stuff too about not taking things on when there's a lack of reciprocity as well. I'm seeing that too. So yeah, talking through stuff, feels like this is all related to like past stuff that's being brought up, but this would be like maybe some difficult stuff to talk about that's connected with the past. I'm seeing there be like reframing that's happening as this is being like discussed and talked about, like a lot of conversation. So reframing is happening. I'm seeing there be feelings that are coming up too, which like you're feeling more connected to your feelings. Also at the same time though, this can feel a bit triggering because of like the things that are being talked about that are like heavier past stuff. So that's also something that's coming up as well. Like you could just be feeling triggered. And there can be this part of you that like wants to react. However, I'm seeing there be more of being in this space of doing things in a way where there's like more of a sense of resolve. And also knowing too that like shutting down or closing down, it's not going to give you satisfying results or like what you're really looking for. So this is also about being patient as you're connecting with things mentally, as you're communicating, and also as you're figuring out like you're figuring out like the recipe of what it is that you're creating. Being temperance right now and transmuting the energy, maybe feeling like a very heavy task, like a lot of heavy lifting energetically. But I'm seeing that if you break things down, don't take on too much, prioritize, be patient, take your time, and continue to do the work, like you're definitely going to see results because of this. Like you're definitely going to accomplish what you're setting out to accomplish, and you've already made so much progress. Like you've already invested so much. I'm seeing you be very, very close to like nearing the end of this process, like nearing the end of this cycle. You're not there just yet, but you're not too far away. You have about like less than a quarter of the way to go. All right, I'm looking at Neptune, Sagittarius, and Mercury here. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.